We're now joined by Adrian Calamel, who is a terrorism scholar. He joins us from the United States. Thank you very much, Adrian, for joining us on this program. Adrian, what are your thoughts on this strike by US President Donald Trump? He's taken action. He said he needed 2 weeks for the decision. He appears to have taken it within 48 hours. What are your thoughts? Do you think this will be a successful operation by the US President Donald Trump?
Within 2 weeks, I think just on an interview yesterday, I said his mind was already made up. It was probably 2 to 3 days, and that's really what we got. So if you look at the strikes, they were one, Fordo, which is, people are making, it is buried below ground and into the side of a mountain, but it's only about 200, 300 feet deep, and so it's not, thousands of feet deep. And so that's one the Israelis had not been able to take care of. And then you have the centrifuges at Natanz, that was taken out, and then Isfahan. So with those three off the table, that really puts a major dent into Khamenei's nuclear program. And the hope is that it would bring them, I think from Trump's hope is that it would bring them back to the negotiating table, saying you need to dismantle everything, including Bushehr, these other plants that have not been hit. There's a couple because of radiation issues and concerns. Or you're going to see a continued campaign. And also Trump made it very clear, do not target our troops, do not target our interests. And then also another flashpoint we need to look at is retaliation along the Strait of Hormuz. If the Islamic Republic threatens to do that, we have to keep in mind that this is a country that's been a regime that's projecting strength through weakness. They're not strong. They're a weak country, or military power. They use proxies. That's how they fight. They don't really have a conventional army, so to speak, and the Navy is probably, along with their Air Force, are probably their two of their weakest positions. So if they block the Strait of Hormuz, try any actions towards that, that'll draw an American response as well. So Trump's been pretty clear, saying you got to experience American military firepower. Russia also got to watch it. China also got to watch it. And so the message is pretty clear. Come back to the table or we will continue this.
Adrian, let's focus on the strikes directly first. We've seen Fordo, which has been a prominent target in this. Donald Trump has hailed it as the crown jewel of Iran's nuclear program to eliminate Tehran's enrichment capability. Does it do that, or does it merely buy Iran time? And also, what military capabilities do Iran still have in this conflict?
Well, it definitely sets their program back so significantly. Natanz was extremely important, and Fordo was the crown jewel. You have to look at Fordo when they started building that. That was 2006, and it really wasn't discovered until there was a I won't say a meltdown, but there was an incident there that killed 16 nuclear scientists. Fordo was absolutely the prize and of Khamenei's program. And I'm sorry, the other question was related to, it was a good question.
It was now Israel have been for
other
10 days now, and what are Iran's current military capabilities when it comes to the regional conflict?
Yeah, what we're going to see is a lot of the same. As far as their drones go, they're going to be trying to launch those, but a drone traveling from the Islamic Republic or from Iranian soil to Israel is going to be easily picked off. That's detected very early. We're going to see the missiles, ballistic missiles. Now Israel has continued to hit the ballistic missile depots, also is the launchers. But they still have missiles. They're not true hypersonic missiles as they claim, but they do, as we have witnessed, they do have very destructive capability, and they have the ability to put basically a 2,000-pound warhead onto the top of one of these ballistic missiles. So they've got some real, let's say, lethal capabilities left, but they're quickly diminishing. And the question is, do they want to ratchet it up another level, or do they say, no, we've had enough? And this is where the regime has always been great at making tactical retreats to save their strategic goals. Their strategic goal was to have a nuclear weapon, and now it looks as though, the tactical retreats, there's not really much they could do in that respect. And the strategic goal, it's on the line, where they've poured trillions of dollars into this program, and it's basically gone overnight.
Adrian, thank you very much. Please stay with us. We have some breaking news coming in over to the US, where Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is demanding explanations from President Donald Trump after the US launched airstrikes on Iran without prior congressional approval. Schumer said Trump must give both Congress and the American public clear answers about the strikes and their impact on national security. He called for immediate action on the War Powers Act, urging Senate Majority Leader John Thune to bring it to the floor, and pledged his own support. Meanwhile, Schumer condemned Iran's behavior in the region, including its nuclear ambitions and sponsorship of terror. He warned that Trump's unilateral strike could trigger a wider, longer, and more devastating war. We have more news, but this time moving back to the region where the Adrian, apologies, we have some technical issues there. I want to come first to the fact that Donald Trump has launched these strikes without getting congressional approval. How can he do this? Is this something completely out of, has he completely thrown the book out of the window in regards to this, or have presidents done this before?
No, he can do this. We're not at war. He doesn't need to, he's not mobile. This is not something that he needs to run through congressional approval and get the voting. That we're not going and putting 100,000 boots, or however many boots on the ground. This is not something that's necessary. It's not needed. It's not required. And Senator Schumer is just playing politics here. He should know, if anyone, the brutal nature of this regime and their true intent. So, shame on him for really playing politics with this decision. There's other people that are in Democrats, Senator Fetterman, there's congressional member Debbie Wasserman Schultz. There's multiple Democrats that are on board with this and saying, this was the right decision. Unfortunately, we got pushed to this decision just because of, I truly believe that if we had followed Trump's maximum pressure campaign from 2018 to 2020 and continued it through at least 1-2 years of the Biden administration, which means enforcing it and not allowing sales to China of illicit oil sales, it would have crippled this regime, and it would have really brought them to the negotiating table about their nuclear program. But as we've seen, even financial incentives, financial hits, economic incentives, economic hits against them, kinetic action against them, it hasn't really deterred their response. They have been resolute, and that's why I never thought there was an off-ramp here, because I understand how Ali Khamenei believes and what he thinks. He believes that a nuclear weapon was critical to the survival of his regime. It started as a covert operation, covert nuclear program, all the way back in 1992. Then it became public. Then they signed on to NPT, which they violated over and over. The IAEA finally found them in violation just a couple days before the Israeli attacks, and they had been in violation all along. And this is the end result. There's been every type of stick or carrot has been used, and nothing has worked. Unfortunately, with the Islamic Republic, my belief is that we've always looked at it, or at least recently, as a nuclear file, instead of looking at it more holistically, is that this is a really nasty regime that is responsible for the civil war in Syria, is responsible for what's happened in Lebanon, what's happened in Yemen to the Yemeni people, what's happened, just around to the Israelis, to Americans, to people around the world. They've killed, maimed more international people, terror attacks, you name it. Then that's why they're the lead state sponsor of terror. I mean, they don't get that name for just any reason, and that's why the nuclear program could not fall into the hands of a state sponsor, because this is a country where Osama bin Laden did call Tehran, the Islamic Republic, his core facilitation pipeline. They work closely together. They're interconnected, and that's why this is just, it's critical that they weren't allowed to, one, develop a weapon, and then two, divert it and move it around to proxies or to other terrorist organizations where they could have some plausible deniability for a mass casualty attack.
Okay, Adrian, I don't want to, apologies for the interruption. There's reports that the Trump administration has briefed top Republicans before the Iran strikes. However, he hasn't done the same with Democrats. Obviously, you said Chuck Schumer politicized this with his statements, but isn't this a clear sign of politicization as well, if these reports turn out to be true?
Well, I don't know. I would really doubt that those reports are true, because these decisions are made inside a SCIF, inside of a war room. This is not something that you broadcast. If you look at this entire operation, starting with the Israelis, 9-10 days ago, there's been tremendous operational security, and we're not going to have another signal gate like we had with Operation Rough Rider against the Houthis. So I don't think that's the case. If that was the case, President Trump shouldn't have done that. He just absolutely shouldn't have done that. So these are things that, you don't broadcast, because there's leaks. There's leaks all over DC. Everybody knows it.
We now move over to the Middle East for our next breaking. The Airports Authority has announced that Israel's airspace is now closed to all incoming and outgoing flights due to recent developments. However, land crossings to Sinai and Jordan remain open and are operating normally. We now move back to Adrian for our next segment. I want to talk more about these strikes specifically. These B-2 30-ton bunker busters. What can you tell us, Adrian, about the weapon that was used in these strikes?
Well, first, the B-2 bomber, that's a stealth bomber. It's going to avoid detection. It's also going to have an escort of a number of fighters, but the ordnance that it drops, it's a bunker buster, or a massive ordnance penetrator. And so what they did was they would, and many believe that it would take more than one to burrow down, and it was about 200, 300 feet into the ground that the centrifuges that needed to be taken out were taken. Well, we believe they were taken out. We'll still have to see battle damage assessments, but I think we can say that they were. So what they did was they launched the first one in there to penetrate down, and then they launched another one quickly in succession after that. So you have initial impact, and then one that's able to drive down even deeper to hit those lower levels and take out those centrifuges. And if you've seen any of the footage, the explosion is just it's enormous. It's It's pretty, yeah, it's not something you see very often. So and the delivery system, that was always the issue why the United States was going to have to get involved, is if Israel wasn't going to be able to take it out with its capabilities from the air, it was going to take teams on the ground infiltrating and trying to do it, and that could have led to loss of life and other operational problems, and it could not, may possibly not have succeeded. This was a swift strike to take it out, and with a relative, I would say, element of surprise here. I'd say certain people saw it coming. I kind of saw it coming when I saw things moving this afternoon. But then, Isfahan as well, they were able to hit that. And Natanz was the other site that they hit that's really important. That's the other dangerous site. They were enriching uranium up to 60, 70, 80% when they would fluctuate back and forth. The Israelis had done quite a bit of damage to that, but that also is underground. And previous Israeli attempts were all sabotage attempts where someone had been able to infiltrate inside. Mossad had been running circles around the IRGC and the Islamic Republic for years, and they planted explosives and would take them offline, a couple hundred centrifuges, but that only set the program back. Couldn't do it from the air, and then the United States came in tonight with its strike there and kind of finished that one off. The last one that, the one that everybody talks about that's still remaining that hasn't been touched, and a lot of people allude to 20 Russian scientists being there, and that's Bushehr nuclear plant. I think it has less to do with 20 nuclear scientists. It has more to do with the fact that there's significant chance of radiation and contamination if that site gets hit.
Adrian Calamel, thank you very much for your insight and joining us on the program.